The news just came down that they canceled racing at Kentucky Downs for the remainder of the day, which opens up the afternoon for the man who's about to join us, Charles Lopresti. He had two more entered on the card, including a filly who looked really good. First of all, Charles, what's going on at Kentucky Downs and how's the mood there?
Well, it's kind of crazy back here at the barns because they just announced that they're canceling races, and I guess the jocks are saying it's too soft. We just ran a horse here just in the second race. Jose Loscano rode for us, was second, ran good. But I asked him, I said, is it soft? And he said, yeah, it's really soft. And then I asked Mike Maker, who won the first race, how soft it was, and he said it was really soft. But I didn't think it was that bad, but obviously they do. So I got back to the barn with this horse that just ran, and everybody's hauling. They canceled racing. Yeah, it's kind of crazy here. People loading horses up and people running around like chickens with their heads cut off. But I guess that's the way it goes.
It's racing sometimes. You never know what's going to happen. We want to ask you about Wise Dan and get it straight from your mouth, because you made the announcement earlier this week that he would be indeed retired as you were trying to. He was on the comeback trail, and he was looking fantastic by all accounts. What was the latest setback?
Well, I tell you what, he was looking fantastic. He had his last work the end of the week. He's had 7 works leading up to that. He hasn't had a hiccup. I mean, we've taken him to Dr. Bramlich every time we've worked him to check his ankle. His ankle is 100% healed. It looks great. He noticed a bump on his tendon Monday morning after training on the wash rack. We were giving him a bath, and it's one of those things where you were trying to talk yourself out of it. No, that's not really there, you know. And the more I looked at it, the more it got some more swelling in it, and I started to palpate it, feel it, and it just didn't feel right. And I was just like, I didn't know what to do. Amy and I talked about it. I said, I can't take him like this. I got to make sure that maybe he did something. And anyway, when we ultrasounded it later on that morning, it revealed a small, very small tear in the outside of the tendon. I don't know what the percentage was, but he never was lame. He never was, it's just that knot on the tendon. And, on a horse of that caliber, the last thing I wanted to do was take him up there knowing that he had that. And have him get beat or get hurt, I'd never forgive myself. So it was a tough decision to make. I think he was going to run a really huge race. I think he was way on his comeback. I thought he looked as good as he's ever looked in training this year. And I know a lot of people, it's hard for them to believe that, but he was just incredible. His last work, he came home in 22 and change and was just full of run. But for all the fans, he's not a bit in any pain whatsoever. It's actually gone down. We're treating him, hosing and icing. It's actually gone down, and he's walking around the barn every day. He's actually pretty mad at us. He keeps looking up at the racetrack as if to say, "What's wrong with you guys? I could have done this." He's just an incredible horse. People don't realize how incredible he really is.
Charlie, he has been such a great horse and a fun horse to watch. If this wasn't Wise Dan, if this was a lesser horse, say an allowance horse, claimant horse, a younger horse, is this the type of injury where you kick him out for a while and then bring him back, give him some time, and he'd be fine in a year or so, or however many recovery time?
Exactly. And not only a claiming horse. I mean, Dr. Bramlich, when I talked about it, if he was a 3-year-old or even a 4-year-old, but, you always hear about horses with tendon injuries that it cheapens them some. They never come back to the same level. Well, I can tell you, Successful Dan, that's one of the injury that he always had was a suspensory injury. And every time we brought him back, he was that much better. But in the case of Wise Dan, he's 8 years old. He'll be 9 next year. There was nothing. I mean, even if we give him, he could be back on the tack in 6 weeks. But where are we going with him? A year's going to be out, and then we'll wait another year. And Mr. Fink and I talked about it, and we said that if he had another injury, or we ran him and he didn't run well, or he wasn't breezing well, or we didn't think he was the same horse, we wouldn't pursue it. And he was the same horse. Trust me, he was every bit as good as he ever was.
So now what? He's been retired, and what are the plans for Wise Dan's future?
Well, we'll keep him there at Keeneland for a while. He's such a good patient. I mean, he's so smart, and he enjoys being around the barn. So we'll keep him there, walk him, and graze him every day. And I don't know, probably, I don't know, there's been a little bit of talk maybe about parading him. I just, some of the subtle people have talked about, if they'd asked us to do something like that, maybe at Breeders' Cup or Keeneland Meet, I would love to do that. I think it would be a tribute to him, But and then he'll go home to my farm, and he'll have time off. The injury is, I mean, in 2 months I could get on him and ride him, and Amy and I will turn him out with Successful Dan and let him be a horse for a while. And they've showed interest in us bringing him to the horse park to parade him in front of the people there. And who knows, maybe we'll make a pony out of him. And because he loves the racetrack and he loves the game, and he's such a pleasure to be around and all. I mean, we may use him as our stable pony down the road and ride him out with the sets every morning, because he's going to be perfectly fine. But whatever happens, he's going to have a great home. We're going to look after him for the rest of his life because he's been good to us.
Yeah, he's earned that for sure, Charlie. Besides the obvious, his ability, and he's a talented horse, what was his greatest trait as a racehorse, or a quirky trait that separated him from other really good horses? Did he have one?
I think the biggest thing about Wise Dan is he knew how to win races. I think he knew where the where the wire was. I think he knew how to win races. I think he almost, no disgrace to John Velasquez, but I think, John Velasquez told me in the Bernard Baruch, he said, Charlie, I never saw that horse coming. He said he was getting a little tired. I never saw that horse coming. He said, and all of a sudden he grabbed the bridle and took off. He said, he won the race. I didn't win the race. I didn't even know that horse was coming to us.
That's amazing.
Did he know where the winner's circle was too, Charlie?
Well, he's been a lot of times. I'll tell you one thing. I got to think he did.
Seriously, when he got beat, was he one of those horses who seemed angry or seemed upset that he lost? He was that intelligent a racehorse who wanted to win?
He was very mad that he got beat in the Shadwell when it came to deluge of rain and the water was standing on the track. And I fought my head about running him. And anyway, when he got beat, I felt like I let him down because I let him run on a track that was just, that horse got loose on the front end and he was trying so hard, but he couldn't get to him. And when I came back to when Johnny got off of him, he walked through the tunnel with me. He said, "Don't worry about this." He said, "We'll win the Breeders' Cup." And I looked at him. He said, "I never let him run." He said he couldn't. He was swimming on it. He said, "I just held him the whole way. He was mad the whole way, but I never let him run." And I said, well, wow. And then he came back and won the Breeders' Cup. But to answer your question, he was so angry when we were walking around the test barn. He didn't want anything to do with any of it 2 days.
Can't blame him. Can't blame him at all. Charles, look, thank you so much for joining us. And he truly is a great horse. You should be so proud looking back on the campaign that you've gotten to share with him. And we're happy that he's going out and he's going to have a good second career. And if you bring him back as a stable pony, good luck to those young bucks that try to get away from him.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think, too. I'll be able to catch anybody that runs off, that's for sure.
Thanks, Charlie. Enjoyed it. And great job with this horse.
Yeah, thank you for all your kind words, and I only hope that someday I'll be able to talk to you about another one like him, but I don't know where they come from. There's not many around.
Well, he is a once-in-a-lifetime horse for sure. Thank you very much, Charles.
Thank you. Bye.